The opinions given by the individual host and their guests do not necessarily reflect those of Para X, its affiliates, or its sponsors.
Supernatural. Magic. Ghosts. You have owns. Bigfoot. Extraterrestrial. Psychic energy.
The calling.
And good evening, everyone. It's just me all by myself today, which is probably pretty cool if you ask me. And Willow and Jerry are out and about, and I don't know what they're doing, but they're probably out there looking for aliens or having some witchy poo things or doing some, I don't know. Who knows what they're doing out there? But the weather is good and everything is good, and I hope everyone is we're just going to have a good time tonight, right? Right. So I do have a special guest, and actually we're supposed to be doing this all by ourselves Wednesday for a whole hour, which I know damn well that I'm not going to get through this. So I did get a special guest, and we got Mark and Russ from Search for Spirits. Hi, guys. How are you doing?
Hello.
How's everybody? How's everything? Well, you guys live in Minnesota, so you guys know what the weather's like. We talk about the weather every time.
Absolutely. Very nice today.
It is. It really did come out really nice today. So it was pretty foggy in the beginning, but it's nicer now. So, yeah. So how are you guys?
Not too bad.
Yeah, not bad. Keeping busy.
Yep. I hear that. So the last time we saw, okay, so I've known these guys and I follow them quite a bit. And I think we met in Reamer, I want to say. Right, Russ? Or could have been before?
Reamer, or it might have been up in Big Fork, Minnesota.
That's right.
We met a few times.
Yep.
And I don't even remember now which was the first one.
Yeah,
but
it's been a while. It's been a while. So the reason why I asked these guys to come on board was because these guys are like always out there. Like if you follow them, they go and they do some lives. They're in houses. They're in haunted areas. They're in the woods. They're I don't know. Do you guys search like alien too? Because I know it's paranormal, and you've even done Bigfoot hunting. And what about aliens?
Absolutely. We do get calls, probably a couple a year, text or calls. And we've done some interviews. We're actually looking at going up north, up in the Duluth area and visiting with a couple up there this fall yet. And
nice.
Spending a night watching the skies and...
Oh, that's good. So now this is what I wanted to ask you. So Russ, how long have you been doing this?
It's probably been about 8 years for sure that, Mark and I got together as a team a little bit later, but I started myself probably about 2008, I think it was.
Okay. So then Mark came on board, right? Is that what you
Right.
were saying?
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. So, and how many is on your team? Is it just you and Mark, or is it others?
Okay, I fibbed. It was 2012. 8
Okay.
years versus 2008. So, what was the question?
Did you and Mark, like how many people are on your guys' team?
All right, well, let's just say that on my phone right now, there's probably about 20 names.
Oh, okay.
But a lot of it depends upon what direction we're going. And so we do a lot of house calls. We've had over 20 this year already. And at house calls, we prefer to roll in with 2, 3, 4 at the most. So we don't call like the team per se. I pick out members who are in that direction and I contact them and say, hey, we're going to be up in your side of town. What are you doing? In most cases, they're like, hey, I'm open.
Yeah, and sometimes we pick according to what we know is their strengths.
Right.
You know, how
Right.
they fit in with things, and yeah.
So, yeah, if we run into something that we feel is going to be a little bit on the darker side, we want to make sure and protect some of the newer members. We're not going to bring them to some of the more, dark type investigations.
And Russ and I usually do those
Right.
mostly by ourselves.
So so that's what I was going to ask you guys. Like, what are your, like, investigating? Like, you do a lot of personal and businesses, I'm assuming, right?
That's right. We, like I say, so far this year, we've done about 27 investigations.
Mm-hmm.
16 of those are residential properties and new residential properties, new people that we haven't worked with before, new clients. We did 2 businesses this year.
Okay.
And then the mix of the rest of them are follow-ups, people who maybe we did a year ago and they have a little assistance they need.
Mm-hmm.
Or we have team events. We do 2 to 4 team events where we try to get the whole team together so they all have practice working together and utilizing the equipment and keeping their skills up, so to speak.
Oh, okay. So you try to keep the teams going by doing things that way.
Yes,
Right.
we have group events where we invite them, and that way, new equipment that we purchased, new people that are on the team, at any given point, they have a chance to meet up with each other, shake hands, have a brat over the grill, something like that, and then we'll do an investigation, just get everybody kind of comfortable with each other and the equipment and their skills. All of the sensitivity skills can certainly go away after a while if you're not using them enough.
That's true. That is so true. What about you, Mark? When did you decide to were you into the paranormal, or were you, and then all of a sudden how did you guys get together, in other words?
So I've been interested and kind of into it, I really guess, since I was a kid. I watched a lot of horror, read a lot of stuff like that, and had a lot of experiences. As far as Russ and I getting together, we had a mutual friend that I deployed with her, and we had talked a lot, had coffee, and I had shared some of my experiences, and she knew Russ as well, and she went to Russ, and she's like, hey, you should talk to Mark. And so Russ calls me up, and he's like, hey, you want to go on an investigation? I'm like, absolutely. I had been gearing up to do it, but I just hadn't gotten into it yet. So he came along at the right time.
Nice. And what about you? How did this get you started? How did you,
Right. Well, I had a lot of experiences when I was younger. Really couldn't describe them as far as I wasn't in an environment where anybody ever talked about it, or I ever even seen shows about it. And so I was having experiences. I saw a spirit man once when I was younger. I was having a lot of spirit dreams that I couldn't identify with and understand what they were, and different things like that. So it really went that way for many years, and then you get busy with life.
Right.
So I raised a couple kids, and towards the end of, I still have one student in school, but we have gotten so much more involved now in this recent years that it became more popular on TV and things. I remember it was years ago, probably about 2010, when I saw my first show on TV, probably Ghost Hunters, I assume something like that. And I'm like, whoa, wait, that's me.
Right.
That's who I am.
Right.
And I just felt an immediate connection with it.
Right.
And within 2 years, I was building the team.
Wow. That's good. See, and that's how I started too. It's the same thing. But I watched the older shows, and that's how it got me. I got more into it, and I had abilities since I was a little girl. So, yeah, same thing. So, yeah. Anyway, so you guys say, okay, so you guys have equipment. Like, do you guys carry a lot of equipment? Do you use like a psychic work? Do you use anything like that? How do you guys go about?
Yes, we use a variety of things. We like to come at the investigation from several angles. We almost always have an audio session early on. We start with the interview of the family, and we get all the information down. Then we go to an audio session, and then we go into about a 30 to 50-minute meditation where we take the time to let the house and any spirits communicate to us.
Okay.
And we also, after that, we take a listen to the audio session after some time period, and we reflect on what we heard in the audio session. And while that's going on, we're also measuring the house, identifying any hot spots in the house, or debunking anything that they may have mentioned. And we wrap that up usually with at least an EVP session or two, in addition to an audio type app type session. And we try to take all that then at about towards midway through the night, and we discuss it and see what that tells us.
Okay.
And a lot of times that's enough information to lead us to how we're going to heal this house and this family.
Okay.
And when I say healing, I mean healing. And healing is something we added to our definition in 2019. We were down in Pipestone at the hotel.
The Kelman.
The Kelman.
Oh yeah, the Kelman. Yep.
Yeah, and we were down there, and I had an amazing communication with like a spirit guide. And the spirit guide told me, hey, crossing spirits is considered healing. We consider it healing.
Okay.
And so we added that aspect to our team in 2019. We had, dating back to 2017, early on, we were already doing crossovers. But after we kind of identified it as healing, it really took our team in a whole new direction.
Okay.
And things have really just ramped up since then, I would say.
Nice. I think because of because you're healing not only the spirits, but you're healing, because, they're moving on, being able to move on.
Right.
And the client as well, and you guys are learning something at the same time, and that's where, I saw your card and it does say something like Christian. So do you have a Christian background, and how does that work with that?
Yes, that is very true. We're both Christians, Mark and I, and it's not that we have a requirement that our members are Christian, but we too are Christians. And as a part of that, this grew. I was a mediocre Christian per se, and it grew into being a big Christian as the years went on here, because we used the Holy Trinity in so many of these healings. And we just were successful over and over and over, and it just built us into very strong Christians as time went on.
I think that's good, because I do prayers and stuff like that as well, and it, not my team. They're not like, because I am a Catholic, and I do, a lot with God and stuff, and I use and protectors and stuff like that. So I'm very open to all that. So yeah. So I think that's good. That's a really good thing. So
yeah, we
anyways,
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was going to say that actually led to us creating and founding a sister organization, and that one's called Search for Heaven. And that's our online presence, but it's more of a totally Christian presence that provides a lot of the tools that we provide to clients to help them. And so if you go to that website, the Search for Heaven, all one word, a lot of the Christian tools that will help people we've put on there over the years.
Okay.
Or over the past year, I should say. It's about a year old.
Yeah. So, okay, so now when you guys are out there and you're doing these investigations, how, do you do uh, like a private, like a lot of private cases? I think we're breaking up a lot, aren't we?
We are a little
I
bit.
feel like we are. Yeah. Okay. So I'm just letting everybody know that we are breaking up just a little bit. So hopefully it'll stop. But like with clients and stuff, do they call in? I mean, are you? You know, I know. And do they call in? I feel like we're.
Can you hear us?
Yeah, now I can hear you. Sorry, guys. So I was trying to tell you guys, do you guys do clients call and do you interview them before you go on to these, or do you do, like a walkthrough or anything like that before you go on to these cases?
So currently we, they'll call in, they'll email, we'll get referrals from other people, and for the most part, Russ usually calls them. He has the time to do that, and interviews them. And then our walkthrough is when we first go there, because a lot of times it's a bit of a distance from here. So as far as the investigation goes, we have, it's like a one-off. We don't really have the time to drive there and do a preliminary, you could say.
Okay. Okay, so what else was I going to say? I know people aren't hearing me, so sorry about that, guys. I don't know what it's going on.
We can set it up a bit and just see
Now that
if
this
yours
breaking
gets better.
Right? Anyway, so so when you're doing investigations and stuff like that, has there been cases where they're never ending and you're thinking, okay, what do you do with cases like that? What do you do when you know that these clients, it's much harder because they're not understanding? And do you feel like you have a lot of success through them? Once you do an investigation and then a clearing and stuff, or how does that?
We generally see it to the finish. For us, I would say out of the last 3-4 years, we've probably had about 100 clients, and we generally see them through to the finish. And I think the only 2 clients that are really still hanging out there a little bit, though they're having a much better time of it, they were both kind of involved into the occult kind of deep.
Oh, yeah.
And sometimes, you might run into other situations where we provide what we call a spiritual toolbox with guidance moving forward for them. It's just a guideline for them, but in short, we'd like them to see them do some of the things that we provide to them in that toolbox to help themselves. Because what we do, we walk out the door and the homeowner or the client is on their own from there on.
Right.
And so there's a certain amount of responsibility that they have. And like I say, sometimes they don't follow that responsibility. Sometimes spirit may affect that. We've had it in at least 2 cases where clients have had the bright idea to go to a cemetery the next day.
Yeah.
Just out of the blue.
And that's something that they would normally not do.
Right.
So we give them a little checklist now verbally when we're talking to them. Okay, we have what we call the 72-hour window, and that's where we tell them we don't want them to talk about what happened that night. We don't want them talking about it in their family with anybody else. 72 hours, nothing but maybe some prayers and different things to help the energy continue to move in the right direction and to keep the light that we created while we were there in that house. And after 72 hours, I say, then you can start telling people. And on day 5, that's when I call, because that's 2 days after the 72 hours ended. And it's different with some clients say that it ended in a snap. The minute we finished with our healing process, everything ended. They never had another experience. Some people say it lasted almost up to the 72 hours, and then everything done completely. And then there's those that require a return visit, and sometimes we realize it's information that they didn't provide, maybe because they were deceived into not giving us that information, or they just didn't think of it. And, yeah, I could really go on a whole hour just on that topic.
Right,
But-
right. And that's true, because right now these are the kind of cases I have that really kind of just, you can't go back. You're trying to tell the client, we're trying to clear it and we're trying to heal. We do the investigation, try to clear it, try to heal what's ever there. And you're right, you're leaving a light. So that is kind of a good idea to tell them, hey, don't talk about it. Don't, rest about it. Don't worry. Once you guys are in there, done your job, then that is pretty much a good idea. So now what I want to know is, you do say that you do have like success, right? Was there a case that you were like worried about that it was never going to end? I mean, can you tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, I mean, essentially, I would say out of all the cases we had in 3 years, we only have 2 cases that didn't completely be resolved.
Okay.
All the rest of them were.
So typically our investigations last 3 to 4 hours.
Mm-hmm.
And but there was that one locally that, remember, she was attacked after we were wrapping up.
Right.
So that I guess that would kind of be that one a little bit. We were just getting ready to go, and she started having a lot of problems, and so we ended up staying, I think, for another 2 hours after that.
Okay.
But typically we wrap everything up, and if they have any issues, then that pops up later. But that's very few.
But that's why we give it that 72 hours and then 2 days, because in the one we just had, this is a great story too. I don't know how much time we have, but this is a great story. So we were recently in an investigation up in northern Minnesota.
Uh-huh.
And activity since 2012. Had a couple people in there trying to help, and not successful. And we went in there and did the healing, and I told her about the 72 hours. Well, on day 4, she can't handle it anymore. She says, I've got to contact you. Can we talk? So I gave in, and I called her a day early. And she says, you weren't kidding me. The 72 hours was a bit crazy. We were hearing voices. I could feel the energy in the house. But she says, about 8 o'clock that night, on the eve of the 72 hours, she walked into a grocery store to get some groceries.
Uh-huh.
And while she was there, she stepped on something. She reached down and picked up off of her shoe a cross that was cut out of a penny. And it signified the end of the entire haunting. It ended right almost at the 72-hour mark, with her finding a little cross under her shoe, and not a single thing has happened since then.
Wow.
And sometimes that's how it works.
Like what kind of trouble was she having before you went in there?
Cupboard doors were slamming.
Seeing, she had a spear in her face.
A spear got right in her face when she was laying in bed, and she felt it, and it's like right there.
Yeah, and then they would see shadow figures stomping around the house, things being moved, etc.
Kids not sleeping.
Okay. Yeah, and kids, I mean, cases like with kids as well, I mean, get off the subject a little. I mean, do you do more of the cases that for children as well?
We always prioritize cases that have children in them, and make an attempt to get there as soon as is reasonable.
Okay.
And yeah, we definitely give them high priority. we had a case right in town here where the kids were having a lot of trouble sleeping, really frightened. One of the kids wouldn't even go in their bedroom for over a year.
Wow.
And after we cleansed the house, it ended up being an old World War II veteran that just wanted some space. He had been in the house before they moved in, and he came to me during the meditation. He says, I had this whole house to myself. Now I got a family with a bunch of kids in here. I get no privacy. That's why he wanted that kid's bedroom, just so he had a spot. I said, I'll give you a big spot. I'll give you the light and all of heaven. You can go there. And he went quite readily.
Mm-hmm.
And after he left, and we left the house there, their daughter slept for 3 days straight for the entire 72 hours. They were so concerned about her, they brought her into the ER and said something, she don't wake up. And at the end of that 72 hours, essentially, she started coming around. Doctor said she's that low on sleep that she was just catching up. She had been missing so much sleep during the haunting during that year that when it was finally gone, she slept for 3 days.
Wow. Wow, that's crazy. Well, that's good, though. I mean,
Beautiful, yeah.
Yeah, it is. It is. I mean, was there any cases that were, Mark, I mean, what's like one of the best things that you guys have ever caught? Like evidence-wise. I mean, you could talk about whatever you want.
Well, we get a lot of pretty decent EVPs.
Okay.
Not a lot on the video. We did. One of my favorites though is we were at a house and we had just turned the lights off or on. We were getting ready to kind of clean up a little bit, and we captured this arm reaching into the room, and it looked like it was reaching for Russ.
Wow.
So that was a pretty neat capture.
Right.
Okay. And that was a video that you caught that on?
That was on a video.
Mm-hmm.
And then at a abandoned town, I caught what looked like a woman on the second floor of a general store. And then that same one in that house, it was on Facebook Live that came out of, right? 3 nasty faces in the window.
Yeah, 3 spirit faces were kind of like looking in the window at us, and they were all blue in color. And we were inside the house doing, investigating, and we thought we caught some movement in the back, so we started working our way there to the back, and all of a sudden the Facebook Live people were like, what was in the window? And we went back to it later, and here it was 3 faces, blue faces, looking in the window at us as we were.
Wow.
I think my favorite audio capture, though, is we were doing a house out in the country, and the homeowner was sleeping. You could hear him snoring.
Uh-huh.
And then Russ and I were upstairs, and it was a whole group of weird sounds, like a baby crying, like it sounded like a little monster
Dinosaur toy.
like growling, a clock ticking. It was a whole bunch of bizarre things that were captured. So I think that was my favorite audio piece.
Wow. What about you, Russ? I mean, do you have anything that is memorable or anything doing an investigation?
Well, I think for me, and we don't like to talk about a lot, but we kind of like to let the more darker cases settle at the bottom, and we don't talk about a lot. But we had one.
Those are my favorite, though.
One night where a very dark entity was throwing knives and our crucifix around the house and breaking windows in the house.
Really? Well, you guys were there?
While we were in the process of trying to clear it.
Wow.
And then at one point then, too, it threw the crucifix down the stairs and replaced it with a butcher knife.
Wow.
So,
it
was a busy night.
I mean, Russ, do you look for, or do you guys just try to do it? I mean, because there's, pretty much like someone like a priest or somebody to come in to help you guys out, or do you much do it on your own?
No, Mark and I are the healers. We do it ourselves.
Okay.
I get asked sometimes how, why, what, all these questions. All I know is that that's what we do. And you can talk to a lot of groups. and I've talked to a lot of TV personalities as well, and they're like, well, I've been in this business for 10, 12 years, and I've never ran into a dark energy. I don't even, they don't even exist in my book, but the situation is that these cases don't happenstance to come to us. They just come. And so we generally, the darker cases have a tendency to come to us.
Okay. Well, hold on for just a minute, Russ. We'll get right back to you, and we're going on break.
If you're looking for a truly unique podcast experience, we have you covered. Spirit by You with CJ Dunham airs live from the Third Coast in Southeast Texas on Tuesday and Fridays at midnight Eastern Time, covering Creole folklore and folk magic to strange paranormal activity to new equipment for the field. CJ Dunham is a Catholic swamp witch, a devotee to our Mother Mary and the Trinity, a true believer in our Lord, the Holy Ghost, and Christ. Peace be with your spirit and the spirits by you.
In order for the light to shine so brightly, the darkness must be present. Tune in every Monday at 10 o'clock for Dark Sun Rising on the Para X Radio Network.
Whether you're listening at home, at work, or anywhere, thanks for making Para X part of your day. Your source for everything paranormal, Para X.
And we're back. We're back, and I can't do this just as good as Jerry, and Jerry's probably laughing at me right now, but let's talk about Para X Radio and how many great shows there is. I mean, we're talking Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. You can listen to all kinds of shows any time of the night. Just stick with Para X Radio. And also, we have the Gathering Radio Show with Heidi and Stephanie on the Metaphysical Table, hanging out together, talking about paranormal, and that's on 8 o'clock Central Time, and I don't remember the other time. So, anyways, and also we got Geeks Paranormal right after us, of course, and there's a lot of great shows, just saying. And if you want to listen to anything with the Calling Radio Show and you want to hear it, you can hear it the next day. Just go to the website on the Calling Radio Show. And that is it. I think I got through it a little bit. I'm not as good as Jerry, I'm saying, guys. But anyways, and we do have right now with us, we have Search for Spirits with Mark and Russ. And guys, we're back. So let's get back into this. So Russ, you were trying to tell me a little bit about. Oh, and I wanted to tell Mark thank you because he's been answering everybody, and I'm not trying to ignore anybody's questions, but you guys are Mark's doing a great job by answering you guys, so thank you, Mark. So I wanted to ask you guys, so most of your cases have been successful, right? And you said only 2 cases so far. Now, children cases, were there any particular children's cases that you guys were finding pretty odd or a little bit scary on the scary side? I mean, what's scary to you guys? I mean, have you ever been scared on a case or anything like that? Mark, let's start with you.
So I had one. It kind of took me by surprise. We were in it was an old, I don't know, building down. What was that?
Which town were we in?
Was it Glenwood?
That could be.
Well, anyway, it was a really large old building, and I was trying to take a picture of this side room. It had some peeling paint. It was right around Halloween. I was going to post it. It was like a nice, creepy-looking room, and it sounded like right next to me a body was being drugged, and that just startled me, and I actually ran off. I was like, so it really startled me. But yeah, his cousin was like, "Yeah, I've never seen you run from anything." I'm like, it took me by surprise.
Okay, so was it like something that you could hear by ear, and it startled you in a sense?
Yeah, so there were only 2 other people in the building, and they were in a different location. So it potentially could have been somebody else in there, but it wasn't. I mean, there was just one other room next to me, but it was so loud. It just was such a loud sound. It startled me. I wasn't ready for it.
Okay. What about you, Russ? Anything in particular, like something scary or anything that you would think?
Well, I think one time we were at the Melbourne Manor down in Iowa,
Oh yeah.
and I had been in the upstairs alone on just doing some investigating on my own there. And as I was standing by the door that separates me and the upstairs from everybody else in the entire building, a big old steel door, all of a sudden I'm on this side and that big steel door closes.
It slammed.
It slammed shut. And I'm looking at the door. I'm like, oh, who's there? You know, my initial reaction is to try to get some information.
Right.
I had this sudden flash of anxiety in me where, what if I have just been locked away from the rest of the group and everybody in this upstairs by myself? I've just been isolated by a spirit, and if that door is locked, that would probably really freak me out. Like I said, I just had that moment of anxiety, and I reached out and I grabbed the door and I pulled on it just to make sure it would open. And it did. And all was fine, and I went down, and Mark was in the downstairs. He heard the door slam downstairs.
Yeah.
And,
Go ahead. Keep going.
And like I say, it wasn't like I was afraid per se, but I had a moment there where, just my anxiety level kind of jumped up a little bit, and I was, what if?
Right. So how did you guys like Marvin, the manor there? How did you like the investigation? Yeah.
I really like it. It's kind of an unusual place, I think. Any given night, it could be like the activities in different locations. You could be in one, like between a couple sets of rooms, and it's quiet earlier, and then it just really ramps up. It's a fascinating place. And yeah, I really like it. It's
tons of EVPs coming out of that place.
Yeah,
really?
Doors opening, closing. Yeah, just it's a good place, I think.
Okay. Now, have you? Where's another place that may be popular for haunting that you guys have been to?
Well, we did Edinburgh Manor in Iowa as well. That's got some good activity. Yeah. Trying to think where else. Yeah, a lot of those places are pretty active, really.
Right.
Some are quieter than others, but.
And sometimes, like when we do team events, we try to pick out, sometimes a large place that hasn't really been investigated before.
Right.
And so we did a huge warehouse plant one time. And there was so many rooms and hallways and stairways. We went for a second visit on location. We were still running into rooms that we hadn't seen the first time we were there.
Wow.
So, that's neat when you really... I like to get lost in a building. Let's just say that. I like it to be so unusual. I want it to be very Winchester House-like.
Right. Of course, I mean, any paranormal investigator would like that. You know what I mean? So the other thing, too, guys, so I watch you guys, and you guys have been out in the woods. So what are your beliefs on the Bigfoot?
It's, it's kind of been our sort of a hobby out of this. Like we've been up in the woods, I don't know, maybe 6, 7 times, looking for Bigfoot, and we've heard the whooping and the knocking and
Rock knocks.
rocks being thrown,
Yep.
and things running that we can't see in the woods. It's always fun. It's always a blast, and we're hoping we can see it one of these days, and
Yeah.
so we'll keep it up. It's kind of a team building thing. It's a lot of fun. Campfires too, and
I
We've
know.
had so many close calls, but neither
Right.
one of us have seen them. But we had one of the fellas was, I don't know if he would be surrounded. I think it was the same supposed Sasquatch was hooting and knocking on the trees, circled around him, and then did it on the other side. I don't think it was two. We went and we checked the tracks, but these tracks weren't as big. They were like a child one. And so they knocked and screamed, and I could hear it. I was 100 yards away, stationed at a tree, and he was there, and I could hear the yelling and the knocking and stuff. And I thought the guy had gotten in trouble somehow. Maybe a tree had fell on him or he broke an ankle. And it was such a commotion. But like I say, the next day we went out there to look for tracks because there was very decent snow. And the tracks were much smaller. And they were like they were right on top of each other. But I can't explain. Like a lot of people said, well, maybe it was this, maybe it was a big cat, maybe it was that. Well, cats and some of these animals, they don't do wood knocks. Maybe they screech, but they don't stop and do wood knocks on a tree. So
nothing does it. Well, a woodpecker does that.
Woodpecker maybe, but this was right at dusk.
Got it? Okay.
Other reports.
Have you gotten to see a Bigfoot yet?
No, we've heard the the rocks being thrown and from high trees, and we've had those experiences. We've also seen on print. But what are your guys' thoughts on that, though? I mean, do you guys think they're an interdimensional animal, or do you think they're Earth? I mean, do you believe in what the Native Americans say about them? I mean, what are your guys'? I mean, you guys are barely. Well, I don't know if you guys are barely searching, but I mean, what are your thoughts? What do you think that this could be?
This is just my opinion personally. I've run into so many situations now where we've been out there on a search for Sasquatch and received communications from what I assumed was human spirits, or we've had the human spirits communicating in EVPs and through the audio box at the site out in the middle of the woods where we're trying to do an investigation for Bigfoot, and we constantly run into spirits, which makes me feel that there is some type of dimension that they can come in and out of, which makes them so easy. It would only make sense that they're stepping in and out of the realm and using maybe perhaps the same portholes that some of the spirits are using.
Right.
Well, some support for that thought process too would be the fact that you don't really see a Bigfoot carcass. They got to die sometimes, right? But you never find a body hardly ever.
Right.
So so where are they going? And they're not always there either. It's like they're here and there, pop in and out, and
it's rare. It's rare for something like that to happen, and you don't see any bodies at all. You know, sometimes some people say, "Oh, this is the hand of Bigfoot," or "This is." Sometimes they think that they see the carcass of a Bigfoot, but you can't really rely on it in that sense, especially when it comes to people, especially hoax and stuff like that. But I think it's an interdimensional as well. So, yeah. So, what about other cryptids, guys? I mean, what do you guys have thoughts of that? Like the Wendigo and the, different types of, you know, the skinwalkers and, you know, stuff like that.
It's interesting. I think there's a lot to it, or all of these different like folklore or whatever. That there's got to be some kind of truth behind all of it. They see a certain thing. Russ and I saw this.
Creature by New London.
Oh yeah, we were doing a cemetery, and we were down kind of near New London, and something went across the road that it looked humanoid.
Huh.
And it went super fast. I wish we had a camera going, but who knows? Yeah.
And the other part about it is all these supposed invisible type species. The more we do it, the more we run into these invisible they're not invisible species per se, but they're invisible something. And some of them are heavy-footed, like Bigfoot. Some are light-footed. I had a case where I was out in the woods one time, and I was standing there, and I heard something behind me. And I turned around, and I saw something slide down the top of the tree, about 8 to 10 feet. And it literally, the pine branches bent over as it slid down. But whatever was sliding there was completely invisible.
Huh.
And now I've gone back to that location in that exact tree. I've been watching it over the last couple of years now. That treetop died on that one tree. Where that thing slid down, that whole treetop died and broke off right where that, whatever it was that slid there. And Mark and I were out there walking one time, and we like to do these dusk walks in the woods. Where you walk at dusk or as it's dark even, and we were walking along, and right by this tree there's a large flash of light, but we were already kind of past it a little bit, so we glanced back real fast, and you just kind of have the residue of the light. You knew kind of where it came from. And after that light was there, as we continued walking down this trail out in the middle of the woods, 50 feet from us, all the way along, you could hear this thing breaking sticks and following us all the way along through the woods after that flash of light. And that's not the first time that's happened now, where we've had something traipsing along and kind of following us or circling us in the woods, and you never see it.
Huh. See, that's what I want to go out in the woods with you guys. Because you guys, when we talked the last time, I was like, because like I said, I follow you guys, and it's like, it's funny because a lot of the stuff that you guys are doing, it's really cool, And then when we saw each other at the Para Unity, we started talking. I mean, I just could have sat there all day and listened to you guys, because you guys, it's just fascinating on the things that you find and what you guys see or experience, And you have a compassion about yourselves because you know what you believe in, what you're saying, you know what I mean? So it's interesting when you're listening to your stories, so, and I like that. So the other thing too, I wanted to ask you guys, what about the alien stuff? Have you experienced anything like that or while you're out there?
Just those odd lights. I don't know.
We've each seen odd lights in the sky that we can't identify with. But like I said, we've interviewed a handful of clients that have had reports of them, and we always really enjoy that part of it. Now, for myself, I have had a assortment of dreams that are all alien born, almost, so to speak, where they've shown me different alien type environments and stuff. And I can't explain those whatsoever. But I feel there's no doubt in my mind there's some type of alien energy, and we've been at investigations even where there is so much communication going on in the background that almost has an alien type environment and sound and to it that's carrying on. But when we cleanse the house and we heal it, it's gone. It goes, whatever it is. When we ask it to go, it goes. Whether it's alien, whether it's some type of earthborn entity, or human, demonic, you name it. It generally it moves on, and the family finds peace. But we did just recently make a larger purchase of a meter, a Geiger meter, so that we can monitor more of the radiation type activity. And I actually went out to that site and had some unusual things happen out there at that tree. And the Geiger, which I hoped would be off the shelf, went to its lowest point, the lowest reading ever, the opposite of what I thought it would do. But I had the millimeter in my other hand, and that thing kept going to 88.8 degrees, 88.8 degrees, over and over and over again. Though all the way out there, it was nowhere near 88 degrees, but by that tree, it was 88.8 over and over and over. And so unusual things, learning more about it with every time we take it out.
Okay. Now, Mark, what's your favorite cryptid? I mean, what do you're fascinated about?
I mean, I really like the ones in the lakes, like Nessie and the one down in Lake Pepin.
Yep, Pepin,
and
yeah.
The Serpent and Crosby. I really like those. I mean, but right now I think kind of the focus is on Bigfoot, though. I think it's kind of fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I actually like a lot of the other ones as well.
I think I like them all, too. What about you, Russ? Which one's your favorite?
I am the same. And I'm generally, personally, I'm led by the clients, and we get, like I say, at least 2 calls for Bigfoot every year. I haven't received a call yet on a lake one, though I think it's interesting. I have never received a call yet for anything like that. I would certainly investigate it if the opportunity arose in a heartbeat. But right now, the calls that are coming in a couple a year are always about Bigfoot, and they're good, sightings that are coming from a person who is, truly believable. It's not some random person just saying, hey, I saw something. These are persons that can tell a whole story about it. Maybe they work in town. They've got a good foundation, whatever you want to say. But a lot of good people calling in about Bigfoot. It's the biggest thing, I think, on the internet right now when it comes to that type. Out of all our videos that we have on there, we probably have 55, 60 videos on YouTube right now underneath the Search for Spirits umbrella. And I think in the top 2, one of them is a Bigfoot video. And it's very popular with a lot of people, and a lot of people have had experiences. There's just no doubt about it, of some sort,
Yeah, definitely. Well, that's good. I think you guys are fantastic. I think it's fantastic that, you guys are open to all this. And, I mean, in this kind of field, you kind of have to. You have to weigh it out and check everything out. But I would love to go out in the woods with you guys soon. And it's almost time. So is there anything in particular, like give us your website, give us what you guys have out there, YouTube. We got 7 minutes. So anything you guys want to touch base about?
All right. Well, I would like to let people know about the Search for Spirits. It's all one word, and it's the number 4. I think Mark's already put it on the chat room. And do you want to do the Search for Heaven on there as well? Mark will tap in the Search for Heaven, and that's the same, www.searchforheaven.com. And we have a lot of great Christian tools on there that we can share with people to help them with a number of issues, not just supernatural, spiritual. Also, out of the Search for Heaven, we also created an organization that's called Help for Homeless, and that's brand new this year. And we started that as part of our community service project. We do a lot of stuff in the supernatural, but we wanted to help the community, local community as well. So we have a Help for Homeless page that's on the same website, and at the top you can go there and people can donate, and then we take that money and redonate it to homeless people in Stearns and Benton County.
Nice.
So we're keeping busy with stuff. And like I say, we do a lot of homes, cleansing, blessing. We seal homes from future things. We seal ashes. We work with people's ashes, blessings, and sealing them. But I think the biggest thing that I would like to express to people in general is that providing these clients, these homeowners, these business owners, these people that are struggling, having the compassion and providing them with a spiritual toolbox of some sort to move forward. You know, once we walk out the door, what's there for them? Right. And so it's very important to our team that we always follow up with them, and we provide a toolbox that they can keep grabbing at and passing on to people they know. Right. And a lot of times I just get a call and we'll talk for like a minute or 2, 3, and then I say, hey, check out the website and see if there's something on there that'll help. And I just get a text later on saying, hey, we're good, thanks. That's great information, you know.
That's good. That's really good. Mark, anything that you know, what do you want to see? I mean, what do you want to be doing? I mean,
I think what we're doing is really good. I think we're completely just expanding as we go. I think year each month gets better. More experiences, new experiences. Yeah, it's all been great, and I just want to see it keep going.
Yeah, and I think it is. You're right. Like what you guys are saying about how the more you use your abilities and your spirituality and whatever you're doing as investigators and being positive, I think that's what it keeps you guys more open and motivated, and that's why the cases come to you, you know, because I think it's basically what cases come to you and how it works for you. You know what I mean? And I don't know. I think it's just when you're more open, you're able to do these cases, and I think they come for the reason is what you guys are doing, you know. Mm-hmm. So yeah, so we definitely have to get out in the woods, and I'll think of something pretty soon here, Russ, because there are some woods that I really wanted to show you guys. So we definitely, yeah, we're gonna have to camp. So just letting you know about that. So we got 3 minutes. Go ahead.
Okay. I have one last thing. I just like I say, and I want to open it up to you know, to your teams as well. You know, we like working with other teams on cases in certain areas, and it's not unusual for teams to occasionally call and say, "Hey, we got a troubled incident here where we can't seem to cleanse this house."
Right.
And we are way more than happy and love working with other teams, and we'd gladly come in and help cleanse a house that's troubled, you know, and help with that. Mm-hmm. And
yeah, I've seen that, Russ. That's how I think I first started watching you a little bit, because I noticed that you were open to work with other teams, or to have them say, you said, hey, we need some help. And I think it wasn't a good time for me at that point. So, yeah, I thought it was pretty cool that you work with other teams, which is great, you know. So, yeah, definitely. So, that's it. Yes, I want to thank you guys so much, Russ, Mark, so much. Remember, it is Search for Spirits. Don't forget they have a YouTube channel. And the troops, thank you so much. Sarge, thank you so much. And I want to thank everybody in the chat room. It was amazing. We had a good time. And I think that's it. So, thank you, Para X.